Ever wonder what keeps those car dealerships going long after you've driven off the lot?
Yeah, it's like what happens after that big ta-da moment of getting the keys?
Exactly. We're diving into that world today, the world of a motor vehicle after-sales manager.
The unsung heroes of the car buying experience, or should we say the post-car buying experience?
Right. And believe me, it's a lot more than just handing out air fresheners and complimentary car washes.
Oh, absolutely. We're talking high stakes, big responsibilities, and a whole lot of juggling.
We've got some incredible insights from RoleCatcher that are going to give us the inside scoop on this fast-paced career. So whether you're thinking about a career change, you're already in the industry, or you just love cars, buckle up.
It's going to be a wild ride.
Okay, let's break it down. What does a motor vehicle after-sales manager actually do? I mean, forget the fancy titles for a second. Give me the down and dirty.
Basically, they are the CEOs of customer happiness at the dealership.
I like that. The CEOs of customer happiness.
Yeah.
So they make sure everyone's happy even after they've driven off the lot.
Exactly. They're handling things like contract renewals, navigating those warranty claims, basically making sure the customer experience doesn't end when they drive off with that new car smell.
Which, let's be honest, can be a recipe for some pretty interesting situations.
Oh, for sure. Imagine a customer brings their car in, convinced that a rogue squirrel is causing their engine trouble.
Okay, now that's a new one.
It's the after-sales manager's job to figure out what's really going on, find a solution, and keep everyone happy.
So it's part detective, part customer service guru, part therapist.
You could say that. And don't forget, they need to be sales wizards, too. Because a big part of this role is about building relationships that lead to repeat business.
That's right. Those customers might be coming back for service, repairs, maybe even their next car down the line. And the after-sales manager is the one who can make or break that loyalty.
Exactly. They're shaping that entire post-sale experience, which, as you can imagine, comes with a lot of pressure. But, of course, the rewards can be huge, too.
Right. We're talking about potentially high earnings, a chance to work with cool vehicles, and a career path with some serious growth potential.
It's not for the faint of heart, though. This is a fast-paced, demanding role that requires some serious organizational skills.
I can only imagine. You're juggling contracts, claims, warranties, not to mention actual people.
It's like spinning plates while riding a unicycle on a tightrope.
And probably while answering a million emails and phone calls at the same time, right?
Definitely. You've got to be on top of your game, quick on your feet, and able to stay calm under pressure.
And speaking of being on top of your game, let's talk about technology, because I'm guessing those days of dusty filing cabinets and handwritten service logs, those are long gone, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We're not living in the Stone Age. A successful motor vehicle after-sales manager in this day and age, they've got to be tech-savvy.
Makes sense. So what kind of tech are we talking about here?
Well, for starters, they're fluent in CRM software.
CRM, what is that again? Customer Relationship Management.
You got it. It's all about keeping track of those customer interactions, their service history, you name it. And then on top of that, they're probably using the latest and greatest sales tools. Got to stay ahead of the game.
To track things like those contract renewals and things like that.
Yep, and get this. They might even be analyzing data. Like serious data analytics.
Wait, really? Data analytics at a car dealership?
Oh, yeah. It's all about understanding those trends, figuring out how to make that after-sales process even smoother, even more efficient. I mean, think about it. You've got all this information at your fingertips about customer behavior, what they're buying, what kind of service they need. Why not use it to make everyone's life easier?
It's like Moneyball, but for, mechanics and service appointments.
Exactly. You're using data to give the people what they want before they even know they want it. Smart. Now, speaking of insights, one of the things I found really interesting in RoleCatcher's breakdown was how they kind of mapped out the different career stages for this role. It's like after-sales manager, the game, different levels you got to beat to get to the top.
It is kind of like that. And the best part is they actually give you concrete examples for each stage. So you can really see yourself, or, not yourself, but someone climbing that ladder.
Yeah, so let's talk about that ladder. Where does it all begin?
All right, so starting at the bottom, you've got your entry-level position, the Motor Vehicle After-Sales Associate. This is where you're learning the ropes, getting your hands dirty, maybe literally, depending on the day.
Right, so like fetching coffee, making copies, but also like getting a feel for how the dealership works, right? Exactly. And you're not just shadowing someone, you're actually doing real work. Like RoleCatcher gave this example of a student who was, I think they were studying automotive engineering, and they were also getting certified in customer service and after-sales management at the same time.
Wow, so they're really hitting the books and the shop floor. Talk about a go-getter.
Right. And that's the thing. This field really values continuous learning, no matter what stage you're at.
Which, let's be real, is a good life lesson in general. Always be learning, always be growing.
Preach. So you've got our eager beaver after-sales associate. They're putting in the work, soaking up knowledge like a sponge. What's the next step for them?
Yeah, where do they go from there?
Next up is the Motor Vehicle Aftersales Coordinator. So, as you might imagine, a little more responsibility comes with that fancy new title.
More responsibility, hopefully a bigger paycheck, right?
One would hope. But yeah, now instead of just assisting, they're managing contracts and claims, maybe even for multiple clients. They're the ones working on those renewals, making sure those customers come back for more. They're basically customer service superheroes at this point.
Because, let's be honest, dealing with car troubles, that's, not exactly a walk in the park for most people.
Oh, tell me about it. So
Yeah.
having someone who's organized, compassionate, who can really get things sorted, that's invaluable.
Absolutely. So, strong organizational skills, definitely a must-have at this level.
Oh, yeah, and communication. You got to be a smooth talker. The example profile even mentions something about training and mentoring those entry-level associates.
So not only are they good with customers, they're good with their team, too. Talk about a double threat.
That's right. They're starting to think about that bigger picture. How to make the whole after-sales department even better, more efficient, more customer-focused.
They're like the captain of the after-sales team. So what's next? What's the next step up from coordinator?
All right, so buckle up because things are about to get real. Next level, Motor Vehicle After-Sales Supervisor.
Supervisor. Now we're talking management material.
Right. They've traded in their wrench for a clipboard. They're calling the shots.
So does that mean they're not dealing with contracts and claims anymore? Are they above all that now?
Well, not quite. They're still involved, but now it's more about overseeing the whole team, making sure everyone's doing their part. They've gone from managing individual tasks to managing people.
Got it. So it's less about doing and more about, delegating.
Exactly. And this is where those leadership skills really come into play. They've got to keep that team motivated, make sure everyone's on the same page.
They're like the coach, the mentor, the one everyone goes to for guidance.
Precisely. And they're also thinking even bigger picture now. How do we maximize sales? How do we get those renewals through the roof? They're developing strategies for the whole department.
Wow. So it's not just about keeping customers happy anymore. They've got to answer to the big bosses, too.
That's right. It's a balancing act, for sure. You want those customers to keep coming back, but you also want to make sure the dealership is profitable. And this is also where those analytical skills come in handy, because they're the ones looking at the numbers, figuring out what's working, what's not, and how to improve.
It's like they've got their MBA in after-sales management. So they've climbed the ranks, they've paid their dues, they've got the experience, they've got the skills. What's left? Where do they go from there?
Well, from supervisor, they graduate to the big leagues. Motor Vehicle Aftersales Manager.
The head honcho, the top dog. So what sets this role apart from the supervisor? Is it just more the same, but bigger? The head honcho, the top dog. So what sets this role apart from the supervisor? Is it just more the same, but bigger?
It's more like they've gone from, coach to team owner. They're not just calling the plays. They're setting the whole strategy for the game.
Okay, I like that analogy. So they're not just focused on the day-to-day anymore, right?
Right. They're thinking big picture, long term. We're talking market analysis, building those relationships with key clients, maybe even negotiating those massive fleet contracts.
Wow, so they're like the CEOs of customer happiness and the master strategists.
Exactly. They've got to have their finger on the pulse of the whole industry. What's the competition doing? What are the latest trends? How do we stay ahead of the curve?
And with all those new electric vehicles and self-driving cars popping up, I bet that's a full-time job in itself.
Oh, absolutely. And you know what else they're dealing with that we haven't even touched on?
What's that?
All the regulations, the automotive industry, it's got rules for everything.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I bet that adds a whole other layer of complexity.
For sure. Our after-sales manager, they've got to be on top of all that, make sure the whole team is playing by the rules.
Compliance officers, strategists, customer service gurus. These after-sales managers wear a lot of hats.
They do. It's impressive. But, before we go any further, there's one more thing RoleCatcher included that I think you'll find really useful. especially if you're thinking about pursuing this career path.
Okay, what is it?
Oh,
Don't leave me hanging.
they actually gave us some common interview questions for this role.
Oh, that's awesome. Like a sneak peek behind the curtain. So what kind of questions are we talking about here? Give me an example.
All right, so get ready for this one. Can you describe a time when you had to manage a customer complaint?
Ah, the classic. Tell me about a time when question. Except in this case, it's dealing with someone who's probably stressed out about their car.
Exactly. You got to show that you can handle those tough conversations, stay calm under pressure, and find a solution that works for everyone.
Right, because the last thing you want is a dealership full of angry customers.
Yeah.
What other interview gems did they have?
Oh, they also wanted to know things like, how do you motivate your team? How do you stay up to date on industry trends? How do you handle those tricky warranty claims? You know, the ones where the customer insists they've never even seen a pothole in their life.
Huh. I can only imagine those conversations. But it's all part of the job, right?
It is. And honestly, even if you're not planning on becoming a motor vehicle after-sales manager anytime soon, the skills we've talked about today, they're valuable in so many areas of life.
Absolutely. We're talking negotiation, communication, problem solving, adaptability. Those are skills that can take you anywhere.
Exactly. And speaking of going places, RoleCatcher didn't just stop at one career path. They actually highlighted some related roles that might pique your interest.
Oh, interesting. Like what?
Well, for one, they mentioned a marketing manager position. So if you're more into the creative side of things, crafting those catchy slogans, building that brand awareness, that could be a good fit.
Oh, yeah, that sounds fun. Or maybe if you're a real tech whiz, you're destined to be a technical sales representative.
Right. The go-to expert for all things tech, explaining those fancy new engine features to customers and colleagues alike.
So many possibilities. It's really all about finding the right path for you.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Well, as we wrap up our deep dive into the world of the Motor Vehicle Aftersales Manager, I want to leave you with this thought. How is this role going to evolve as the automotive industry continues to change at lightning speed?
Right. Will our after-sales manager of the future be negotiating software updates instead of oil changes? Will those warranty claims involve like sensor malfunctions instead of transmission troubles?
It's a fascinating time to be in the driver's seat, and I, for one, am excited to see where the road leads. Until next time.